Hey guys, welcome back to E3. We're IGN. You guys are making an amazing game called Absolver, and you're going to tell us all about it, and we're going to see some awesome footage, right?
We are.
Okay,
Certainly
cool.
are.
Exclusive footage.
Exclusive footage.
IGN exclusive footage.
Man, we are so lucky. So if you guys could just talk us through what we're seeing here, because this is all new stuff that people wouldn't have seen.
Okay, so Absolver is an online action game in which players explore a small open world in which they're seamlessly matchmaked all the time with other players. And the core gameplay is a 3D real-time martial art combat with different combat styles. And you see our character here. If he stands here a little weird, it's because he's doing the stagger style, which is our drunken boxing style.
Right.
And so all his attacks are kind of based on stumbles and, kind of falling all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's actually all pretty controlled and it's unpredictable.
And you may recognize that style from the Jackie Chan movies and other movies in that genre where it's supposed to be funny, but at the same time it is excruciatingly effective.
Yeah. When we did our research, we realized that it's actually a very ancient Chinese martial art style. That was the legend says it was created by 8 immortals. Like the Dongbin monk, for instance.
Yeah.
And eventually it became known as the drunken style because it's very smooth and fluid and sort of fake on balance. It's a really interesting style to practice.
Yeah. And you say like it's meant to be quite funny. Like I played it yesterday and it is really silly because that's the thing. It's a really sort of complex game. Then you have these guys like walking around like they've had too much to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not much different from E3.
Okay, yeah.
After a certain hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I played it over at the Devolve a lot, where basically people are drinking beer and DJing all day. So it feels like this really sits in like with a Devolver style.
It's all
had
fun
to
and
do
games.
it. We had to do it.
And it's one of 4 combat styles that are in the game, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the other ones.
Which you can. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to choose one of 3 because the drunken boxing style is a bit hidden.
All right.
And as you play the game, you can meet players, and they can become your mentor. And when you have a mentor, you're going to be able to learn their combat style. So eventually, you can learn all 4, and you can also use their combat deck because in this game. As you can see with the little diamond at the bottom of the screen, you have 4 stances to choose from, and every attack flows from one stance to another. And in what we call the combat deck editor, you can place all the attacks that you've learned in the game in a sort of deck to create your own unique play style. And then in real-time gameplay, you can use this system to create your combos in real time.
Right.
It's very dynamic and it's very flexible system that's super interesting to play in PvP.
It also adds a layer of strategy to the game because as you encounter other players in the world, you'll know how they're about to fight as they from their stance.
Yeah.
And you can adjust to combat them for the best outcome for you.
Yeah.
There's always that element of surprise. So when you meet somebody, you don't know the level, you don't know anything about them, and you don't know what moves they have.
Okay.
So you're gonna need to understand their move sets before you can actually effectively tackle it.
And you mentioned like the mentor thing.
Yeah.
So is that basically so people just don't rush in, start fighting everyone? Like, how does the mentor thing work?
Well, mentorship is a relationship between players. So as a player, you can decide to create a school of martial arts.
Yeah.
And so you create a combat deck and say, okay, this deck will represent my school.
Okay.
And people whom you meet in the world can ask to join your school. And when they join your school, they can use that combat deck even if they haven't learned these attacks themselves. And they're going to get a variety of rewards besides this, like powers, new weapons which you've decided to give to your school, etc. We're sort of running around in circles here, but we can talk about the art direction. So we were aiming to have something that's slightly stylized.
Yeah.
To it leaves room for imagination, and importantly, it also allows you to see movement.
Okay.
And because we're really focused on that dynamic of movement, on how you can read your enemy's attacks, and having this sort of stylized art direction helps for this.
And what about the gear these guys are wearing? So like, is that like fully customizable? What you can now?
It's fully customizable from your mask to your shoes. You've got 9 pieces of equipment that you can. So here you've looted some chest armor, which you could equip.
Yeah.
The basic trade-off is between protection level and weight.
Right.
And so if you equip too much stuff, and you're not strong enough to carry it, you're going to be too heavy, and that'll impact your movement speed, your dodge distance, stuff like that. So that's the kind of balance you're making.
And is that some of the stuff that you can incorporate into your school then as well? Because like you'll have one set of armor for one style, one set of armor for another.
Well, it's the combat style you currently use has an impact on your stats.
Yeah.
And so depending on your combat style, you're gonna lean towards certain pieces of equipment. So if I go for the 4-second style, for instance, which is inspired by Kung Fu, I'm gonna wanna be light and very agile. And if I choose a more rough, powerful combat style, I'm gonna pack more protection because that fits my style.
And you've talked about sort of like watching Jackie Chan movies and stuff like that. Like what, how do you guys go about researching like all these different styles?
Well, we got
watching our films.
Can I brag about you guys for a minute?
Yeah.
They're all students. Everyone at the studio is a student of one of the various martial arts.
No way.
There's 25 people in the studio, so I wouldn't say everybody.
Well, the core team, right?
The receptionist,
HR. The ones who have the most experience are two lead gameplay animators who everything you see in here is keyframed.
Right.
And they both have really significant experience playing martial arts, playing video games and practicing martial arts. And so they brought with them this sort of feeling of dynamic and this notion of, what is the essence of a movement.
Yeah. So do you practice martial arts?
I have practiced martial arts since I've started developing this game. I must say that I've really focused on working hours, and it's pretty hard, at 9 p.m. to decide to go and get your ass handed out to you on a tatami in a dojo. So I've practiced ninjutsu for a while, but I sort of put that in a hiatus for the moment.
So how much of the actual fighting is based on like properly real things then?
Well, our animators, besides their actual knowledge, they do a lot of research, and it's a lot of YouTube videos, finding out great fighters, analyzing their moves, and transcribing them in the game. But we want moves that are interesting to play, and so there is a creative adaptation when you create a move, because you want it to be readable or unreadable. It depends on really gameplay parameters. Is this move easy to see coming or not? He's not letting his friend revive here.
No.
But he's gonna he's gonna revive his buddy.
One of the things that is not apparent just from looking at the footage, so for anybody watching this, the timing of these moves is so critical, and that becomes immediately apparent the first time you pick up the controller to play.
Yeah.
And getting those combinations correctly and using that strategically in the game is as important as learning the timing of the game. I would say that is a very crucial element to the gameplay and part of the fun of it, because there's way much more depth than meets the eye when you're just sort of looking at two people slugging it out. May not be apparent what's going on behind the scenes, because this shot isn't necessarily showing the combat deck moves for the player. It's not showing how you switch them out. But that is something that is just the second you pick it up.
It's a good point, because what we really were aiming for was to, besides making a combat game that's also about making friends, for really the combat itself, we wanted to be accessible and have a great game feel, so it's satisfying, to pick up and play and just start fighting. But it has enough layers of depth and systems that make it really interesting for PvP at competitive levels.
Right. And we were just looking at some shards right here. We should kind of go into that.
So you've got you got what we call tension shards, which are these little glowing stones in your back.
Right.
They fill up during combat, and they allow you to use special items, powers, and to take weapons out. So here I've got a sword that I could take out when I have 3 shards. Right. And the minute I take my sword out, I switch to a sword combat deck, which I customized myself.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it, actually. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know this footage, so I don't know what's going to happen here.
I thought he was going to lean in front of the
But this was an altar. It's the place where you can meditate, you can edit your combat deck. Importantly, you can jump into game modes, because I mean, when you're exploring the world, it's really free form. So you're going to meet people. Are they going to be friends or foes, mentors or students? You don't know what's going to happen. But if you want that, pure combat experience, you can go into special game modes. So it's 1 versus 1 game mode and 3 versus 3 game mode.
Right.
We have 2 game modes at launch on August 29th on PC and PS4. But we plan on really updating this game a lot and adding game modes, adding attacks, adding weapons and stuff as we after launch.
We saw like a bunch of people running in there, and there was like a kind of a big group of people going in. Like, what's the sort of most that it can handle?
This is a small open world. You're going from one zone to another. All this is interconnected, totally seamless. But in one zone,
that's awesome.
Fell. In one zone, there can be up to 3 players. So it's not an MMO. What we're really interesting is having that relationship between players.
Right.
And so it's really about meeting somebody and what's going to happen as you encounter that person.
And you said it's a fighting game that's about making friends. So is the idea then that you walk around in this world, you meet people, you earn their respect by kicking their ass, and then you go into other game modes with them?
You're gonna build your team to go into 3v3 or to go into tournaments together. And I mean, there's a variety of relationship we saw. And when we ran the closed alpha a couple of months ago, we realized that actually in the world, people are rather respectful towards each other.
Right.
They don't sort of attack each other right away. And I think there's a number of reasons. Because it's a martial arts game, you kind of have that respect for your opponents. Also, because you don't know the level of the person that's in front of you. So if you decide to engage, it's not like, boom, I shoot you and you're dead. You're going to have to finish that fight. And maybe you're going to get your ass kicked.
Okay. Right. You may be facing a tremendous beatdown, but if you approach it respectfully, you may spar with that person and learn from them. And once you, if you block a move successfely 3 times, you learn that move and you get that move in your deck.
That's a really interesting mechanic.
Relationships are a huge. They have a huge impact on how you learn through the game.
Because your combat deck features all these attacks. We've got almost 200 attacks that you can mix and match together. And to learn them, you have to fight either NPCs or other players. And as you get hit by an attack, you're going to learn it progressively. If you block it or parry it, you're going to learn it faster, and eventually you can use it in your combat deck.
Right.
That's a really interesting way of making it about, it really is about deck build. It's not just going around trying to get into fights.
That's a perfect way to say it. There's a lot of deck building influence in here.
So deck building is between combats. You really build your play style, your strategy, and then in real-time combats, using these moves, you create your combos in real time.
Yeah. What's been some of the most fun that you've had whilst playing this while you guys have been demoing it?
We play quite a few tournaments inside the studio, and one thing that's really cool when it happens is some moves have special properties. So, for instance, you can have moves that duck under attacks, or a move that's a jump kick that avoids low attacks. And so sometimes you're fighting, and one of the fighters does a low attack, and the other does a high attack and jumping, and they both avoid each other mutually and then keep on fighting. There's these situations that emerge from gameplay that are really funny. Or when you're exploring the world and you're fighting 3 NPCs, you've got this much life left and you're about to die, and suddenly a stranger comes in and boom, starts taking your side and helps you out. And then you can, play emotes, salute each other, play co-op together, learn from each other.
I think one of the elements that is going to be a big treat just from a visual perspective as this game, when people playing in the beta and when it finally comes out, more and more people get involved and become very good at it. Just like watching a martial arts, 2 people go at it that are really good and experts in their craft, watching people fight online after they've sort of mastered their own style is going to be incredible to watch. So we're really looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, it's a great point, because one of the things we're planning to do is when there's 3 of you in co-op and you go to an altar to go in a 1v1 game mode, the third person will be eventually able to do a spectator mode.
Right.
So you two can be fighting and I can be just like recording this sweet combat. And
that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
and then we just
really
take turns watching each other play, learning from each other, etc.
Yeah. What about like the 1v1 stuff? Like, is that like how does that fit in with your sort of mentorship? Then is that can you still learn people's moves from doing that?
You do, but the important thing is that when you fight somebody, you're gonna get that attack XP when you get hit by attacks that you don't know. But to cash it in, you need to win the fight. So if you get defeated or flee, you lose that attack XP. And so it's the same rule in a game mode. So if you get in game mode, if you get attacked and you parry an attack you don't know, you're going to learn for it. But if you lose that round, that XP is lost.
Yeah. Have you been impressed with? I know you said like you did a closed alpha, right?
Yep.
Like, were you impressed by like the level of people going into that?
Oh, after a few days, there were players who were serious.
Yeah.
And we're at the office playing against them, and we're like, hey, I've been playing this game for 2 years, and this dude just handed my ass out at me in like, but he's been playing for 3 days. And so, I mean, I don't think that I'll be playing at like high competitive level, but for sure there's going to be some.
There's definitely room for that to happen, and it's always a nice treat for me over the years to watch live when a developer who'd spent the years making the actual game just gets his ass kicked by someone who just kind of spent a few hours mastering a certain style. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an exercise in humility.
Guys, thank you so much for showing that to me. But you guys have got a beta, right, that people can get involved in?
Exactly.
Yes.
We've got a closed beta that is going to be live until June 26th. You can go to Absolver.com to register for the closed beta. And if you do that before Friday, you should get in for Monday.
Guys, thank you so much. I can't wait to play the actual thing. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to be sticking around, so keep it locked here to IGN.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. That was really good. I really liked it.
Cool. Awesome.
Was the guy playing any good?